Ladies and gentlemen, hello, good afternoon from the Jimmy Shaw home office in Woodstock. This is the latest Secrets of the Dam podcast. We're going to be talking not only about Secrets of the Dam, but specifically today, part three. Now, Dark Angels is the name of the third book. Jim said it's going to be a trilogy. I think there's going to be more books after book three, but we're going to look at Dark Angels today and go from there. Jim, good afternoon.
Hey, how's it going?
Jim always ready to speak to our good listeners. So Jim, talk about the conception of Dark Angels. Where did it come from, and where is it going? Like, how is it the status of Dark Angels right now? How far along is the book?
I am about, I'm 25, roughly 25,000 words into it. And that's, I'd like to say quarter, but no, it's going to be longer than that probably. Well, let's say I'm roughly quarter of the way through. We'll, give or take a few thousand words.
Yeah. So the basic plot as applies to the rest of the Secrets of the Dam series, what can Dark Angels provide to the fans of Secrets of the Dam? What is Dark Angels number 3 in Secrets of the Dam all about?
Well, the neat thing about Dark Angels is I take the lead characters from Cast Shadows,
Part 2.
aka the Kirk, which was part one, and then I take the lead characters from Vandenberg House, aka Forbidden Dreams, and I combine them into the third story, Dark Angels.
A horrific team up, as we say.
Well, it is, because I've taken what I consider the best of both of those particular worlds. Because let's back up a bit. The Kirk and Forbidden Dreams, book 1 and book 2, the stories pretty well happen simultaneously. Different characters, and they're in different communities that are like within 40 minutes of one another. So the characters can transfer from one place, Simons to Woodstock to Simons. It's not that hard. So that's what I did. I brought the Simons characters to the Woodstock area, and the third novel is set in Woodstock. And the third novel is basically a revenge plot. The vampires have organized themselves in what's known as the Blood Order, and there's a council, a ruling council, of which Merritt, the villain in the first book, was a part of.
The Kirk, yeah.
Yeah, the first book, the Kirk. And he's gone missing, and, well, of course, his whereabouts need to be accounted for, and they want to know where, he is. And they know where he was last. So they dispatch the Raven twins, and which happen to be members of Merritt's house, to come look for their uncle. They refer to him always as uncle. So they're here looking for their Uncle Merritt. And they are going to wreak havoc on whoever and whatever caused his disappearance.
Now, you say wreak havoc. Are we talking, physical revenge, mental revenge?
All of the above.
All the above. Now, we talk about Kirk and Forbidden Dreams. They have been augmented the first two parts. Dark Angels right now will be. Now, when did you start Dark Angels? Like, how long ago?
Oh, let's just say the Vandenberg House was published in 2007, and I believe Secrets of the Dam was a couple, 3 years before that.
Yeah.
2010.
So Dark Angels was sort of like put together after your first big run as a indentured servant as a writer.
Yes, and I was. I decided not to write it because of the problems I was getting from the publisher. And
Yeah,
I
because
said,
the
"I'm not
publisher
going
owned
to."
the rights of the books for 7 years.
7 years. I said, I'll stop for 7 years, and I'll have my rights back, and I'll do what I want to do with them after that.
That could be a book in itself. That sounds pretty good. That'd be a good horror movie right there. So.
Well, it was. I hate uncertainty, and that really flips my lid. So.
Now, the terminology when you use Dark Angels, because I don't know if you know this, there was a wrestling tag team called Dark Angels years ago. There's been kind of heavy metal influences about the term Dark Angels. So the title of Dark Angels, where did you come up with that?
Well, the two lead characters, there's three villains basically.
And who are?
Herb Ward,
Yes,
not a vampire,
not a vampire.
and then the two vampires, which are the Dark Angels, but they're also known as the Raven twins. and they have beautiful raven dark hair. They're identical twins, um, but and their names are Isabella and Isadora. And just one likes to wear her hair up, the other likes to wear her hair down. Isabella's a little more dominant over Isadora, so we have a dynamics going on there. One's more keen to want to follow the letter, the specific letter of the orders that the blood council has given them. So they sometimes don't pull in the same direction, but overall they are sisters, and they're loyal to their house, and they're loyal to the order, and they're hell bent for leather. They're going to straighten a few people out.
Now, Forbidden Dreams Part 2, of course, the audiobook will be out soon. You're saying now in June?
Well, I'm hoping June or July. Yeah.
June or July, yeah.
I'm heard from that. I hate stuttering, but
We all do.
I've heard from a very good source, the most wonderful Nora, that
Our audio actress, yes.
she is nearing completion. So, yeah, it's coming out before I thought it was going to come out, which is kind of cool.
What, now, Nora, she's a dynamite voice actress. Do you think her voice, not say improved, but her voice is getting more and more into characterization? Because you notice, like with Forbidden Dreams, it's a little bit more of a expansive to her voice. Because you said the first book was tremendous, but she's basically expanded on her presentation. You said, like there's kind of a more deeper feel to her voice in part 2.
Yeah, the characters are definitely they're I don't know how to explain it, to be honest.
Well,
it's something you have to hear because
yeah.
it really she's good.
She basically she kind of hinted that as she gets more and more into the characters, she gives more and more to the characters, and that's a sign of a good audio actress. I mean, you look at, I don't know if anybody knows this when I'm talking about Batman Year One, The Dark Knight Returns. The animated version of that is more of an audiobook with animated scenes, because the voice actors and actresses in both those books expanded on the Batman characters as they went along. Because Year One was after Dark Knight Returns, but it was the same voice actors that were doing it. And I'm noticing in Nora as well with her work, it's improved, not even the right word, is more, she's more deep in the characters. It's like there's more, if you do a Broadway play and you do it 10 times, it'd be much better than you did it like in dress rehearsal. And I find it with Nora, she's a very, very good actress. And what interesting about Nora, Mike helping her out, her husband, in the editing process. Not every voice actress has that. Sometimes a voice actress or actor just have their their room with their taping. But Mike's been really supportive, and we appreciate that, because a good couple like that backs each other up, as we say.
He's been putting some really neat special effects into Forbidden Dreams.
Yeah, and this is all a shout out to Derek Hamilton. Derek had mentioned about script development. We are looking for a script to be made of the first 2 books. If anybody's listening to this, we have a person in mind, and hopefully that will come across in the next short while. But I mentioned in the previous podcast, we really need people to go online to access Forbidden Dream, access the Kirk, the audiobook, and everything else, because we need reviews and we need purchases or accesses. And I tell you why. Nora's the type of person like we are. We want to see results from our hard work. It's nice if we were independent authors, independently wealthy like the Gates family or whatever. We're not. We'd like to see some monetary compensation for the people involved in the project, and Nora is one of those. So every book that you purchase or every audiobook you purchase, partial proceeds will be going obviously to the author and the presenter, which is Nora. So that's something to think of, because you get into a movie, I mean, if you're not paying for a movie, you're stealing it, right? So we want you to enjoy it. And 11 hours for an audiobook for 25 American, that's a pretty good deal. That's like 6 movies in one. It's like 9 episodes of Game of Thrones. But if you're going to listen to the Kirk and also listen to Forbidden Dreams, you're going to see the quality of work that Nora's put in. And that alone should convince you to support, the Secrets of the Damned series. Jimmy, you want to expand a little bit of that, or like say wrap up, or?
Well, reviews are apparently I got a phone call.
You got a phone call. While he's on the phone, you see people might be.
Hello. Good, how are you?
So the last podcast was cut off because our good friend Doug Arch had given us a call. A little shout out to Doug. So we're going to wrap up this full podcast. I'm going to try to splice it together. Jim, you want to talk about any final thoughts on Dark Angels as it stands right now and what you hope to achieve with the third part of Secrets of the Damned?
Well, there's loose ends from the Kirk that need to be tied up. And I tied some of them up on the rewrite of the Kirk. But I left some of them so that I could tie them up in the sequel, so to speak. Because let's be sure this Dark Angels is the sequel to the Kirk. It's not the sequel to Forbidden Dreams. That's kind of a standalone story. I wouldn't know what to do with it anyway. So that's why I stole two of my beloved characters from Forbidden Dreams and I put them in the new Dark Angels.
Or not so beloved to some.
Well, Dark Angels is where I introduced the villain Herb Ward.
Real life person Herb Ward is a great guy, but his alter ego is not.
And I have permission
Yes.
to write a character loosely based on him, but it's like I took an old sedan and I turbocharged it and put a supercharger on it.
But if we're writing about the real life for Herb Ward, all the women love him, so we don't want to do that because the women are just crazy over him.
Anyway, I took and made him over the top. He's not really that kind of a person, but he thinks it's funny, so I think it's funny.
Herb's a very good head, as we say. Big wrestling fan, big music fan, heavy metal.
The villain Herb Ward and his sidekick and best buddy Devon, Devo Burrito, who's also based on another real person, a friend of mine who's now out west, and I always promised he'd be in one, and he is.
You want to mention his name?
Devon Miller.
Okay.
And
hey, Devon.
They're also in the book Gugway. So I'm going to write both of these books simultaneously this summer because the character overlapping is actually a benefit because it gets my mind going. I just have a few issues I have to hash out about Dark Angels and another manuscript.
Yeah, because you mentioned a Gugway in the previous podcast that's ongoing. So we're going to try to splice these together. I think we can because in 2019 our Microsoft program should be good. Jim, thanks a lot for your time today. Doug, always good to hear from you. Like I said, we'll be working with Doug on promoting authors in Woodstock on a regular basis. Doug's a great author. Pick up his stuff. And anything else you want to add, Jim?
There are a lot of good authors in Woodstock.
Many good authors.
I've known Doug
fiction and nonfiction.
I've known Doug for many years, and his writing is very good. He wrote a history of the Woodstock jail.
Life of a Screw, very interesting. Should be a movie, actually.
It could very well be, because he worked in the jail. A screw is the name of a guard. That's the nickname that
they would put the screws to you, literally and figuratively.
I guess so. So that's a good book. But he writes children's stories. He's got one out called The Three Wheeze.
Great cover too, and a great book. I've read it. Put it this way, I'm hoping to present it to my new niece Elizabeth when she's born in a couple of weeks because I like New Brunswick authors, especially children's authors like Doug. So
I like whimsical books like that too. So yeah, go on out and get those books too while you're at it because you won't be disappointed. And again, it's kind of neat that I had a woman the other day tell her uncle that she thinks it's cool that she's getting to know and to read the work of a local author. Mind you, Woodstock's not the greatest place to support their local authors, but that's okay. I'm expanding my reach to the world, even beyond Canada.
If you don't try, you don't succeed. If you don't succeed, it's because you haven't tried. How are you going to know if it's going to succeed if you don't try? So again, wrapping it up today, keep an eye out as well for the audiobook of the Kirk, the hard copy of the Kirk and Forbidden Dreams. Please buy, please review, give. And Jim always reminds me again, people like our podcast, subscribe, like. You said hit the
bell.
Hit the bell button.
So you can get all the notifications.
All the notifications.
Listen, I want to say one thing too, and I'm not saying lightly. If you're local and you buy it, or you're within
35 miles, 50 miles.
An hour and a half, 2
Yeah.
hours driving distance with me, I will find you and I will sign them.
And if you can find Jim, you can find me in Canterbury, and I will find Jim, and Jim will sign it. I'm not going to do his signature, of course, because he has a great signature. Unless you have any blank checks, I could sign. Any blank checks? No?
Fresh out of those
Fresh
things.
out of those, okay.
They bounce.
Oh, just like the old-fashioned rubber used to buy at Dolphins many, many years ago. The old rubber tree-color, Pepsi-colored balls. So again, Doug Arch, thanks for calling. Thanks to all the authors in Woodstock, and like we like to say, we will never stop saying it until the last vampire is dead, which will be never. Peter Kirk.
Heifer's right.
Have a good one. Bye.